Okay, we're live already. Good morning, Tito June.
Good morning.
We're
Good
live now in
morning.
Vlog Watch.
Yes, good morning.
And I'd like to introduce ourselves. We are independent social media users. We're just ordinary citizen. I was a homemaker for the last 27 years. So I'm just doing this for love of country. And
I
then
believe you. I believe you.
and then we're composed of bloggers who are also, we're not political bloggers at all. We're of various fields, like Rush here. She'll introduce herself later. She has a day job, but she starts in the afternoon. So we started in 2009 actually, and PCIJ wanted us to start uh, using our medium to spread voters' education. So that's the gist of what Blood Watch is. Josh, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Rochelle.
Okay, and we have
Good morning, sir. I am Jan Mallorca, the project lead of the Philippine Encyclopedia. We're using the same the Wikimedia
Wikipedia, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes,
So if I go to Wikipedia, check Wikipedia.
we're not connected po, but we're just using the same wiki system. Sometimes ito na nga, set,
anyway.
Basically for voter education through the social.
Yeah, Blog Watch collaborates with many groups under one vote. So it's one vote. So I'll start off. The way it works is each blogger, when they come, will ask a question, and and there's more time. They will ask more questions.
Do you
But
want me to write something that you?
not yet. So we are. I'll ask my first question, then we'll pass it on. So let me just check that it is live. Ah, yeah, it is. Okay. Looking at your platforms in 2013, um, it says here that your platforms are anchored on justice, opportunities, business, and security. The acronym is JOBS.
Right.
Yeah. So if you could tweet that, what can you say in 140 characters? So
40 characters.
yes, there in your iPad.
All right.
So just say it in a summary. Take your guy is tweeting. Yes. So let me see what you tweeted. Ooh, okay. So June Magsaysay tweeted, "The credo of late president: those who have less in life shall have more in law." Interesting. Can you expound on that more? What was the credo of the late president? And
Those who have less in life should have more in law, shall have more in law. So the acronym of my last time I ran in 2001 for a Senate election, jobs, jobs. Talk about justice, you're looking at social justice, pantay-pantay advantage, they should be, but they need to improve their lives. So the social justice and also always opportunity. We want each better and affordable education, quality opportunity to find their own economic own country, so that they don't have to leave the Philippines and just be enjoying a good, productive life with their loved opportunity. Business, of course, mas maraming negosyo, mas maraming trabaho. Business friendly. We need good government policies to make doing business in the Philippines simpler, easier, and more convenient for local and future foreign investors. So the more business that come in, more employment there will be. So our millions of jobless will have the opportunity right in its own country, their business conditions. And last, we're thinking of peace and order. Without peace and order, peace and security, more investors will come in. The good go out as we have the diaspora,
yeah,
over 10 million all over. These are Filipinos who are aggressive, educated. Uh, they don't find any good opportunity here. They leave. So peace and order is important. So that's the essence of jobs.
what about your ads?
So the last year, so that very few people remember me. Who are you? What do you and then the second is, if so, Ito ang totoong Magsaysay. And also, ibalik sa Senado. Because the survey showed that if you just put Ramon Magsaysay Jr., it can be any other Magsaysay. But if former Senator is mentioned, former Senator Ramon Magsaysay Jr., then they equate it to the past. So these are nuances that the survey we were able to elicit from.
So you did your own survey?
Yeah, we did our own survey for messaging.
Branding, yeah, messaging.
For messaging.
So have you gotten feedback on the advertisement?
Well, we had field group discussions, FGD,
Focus.
from several random individuals. So to reinforce 2 or 3 kinds of storyboard. No? So this one came out as most desirable to identify us. It's like awareness issue. After awareness, they know that I'm a former senator, the son of the late president. Then what has he done? So your ad, and to Magsaysay, showed me like the principal author and sponsor of the e-commerce law. That is the basis of internet transactions. The e-commerce law of 2001. That I also worked with the armed forces when I was chairman of the Committee on National Defense to increase the salaries of the armed forces rank and file. This was in 2002, no? And also the fertilizer fund scam when I was chairman of the Committee on Agriculture. So there's so many things in the past that it's hard to overwhelm them.
Okay.
So what I do when I speak in front of rallies, I said, I just want to work on the basis of the credo of Ramon Magsaysay, the president, who died at a young age of 49 in Mount Manungal in Cebu.
Yeah, that's true.
He was the youngest president elected at 46 and died at 49. And I was 18 and then sophomore, freshman in De La Salle College, School of Engineering. So I said his credo was social justice. Those who have less in life shall have more in law. So I said, I just followed this and I would follow it again.
What is the something new that you added
to
your
advocacy.
Father's advocacy? There must be something new there.
The technology, agribusiness. So the Team Pinoy identification forms like agricultura, agribusiness, and technology. Because I'm a mechanical engineer and I've been working in industry. I was among those few who started the cable TV industry in 1971.
Oh, it's already there? Cable?
So I was a young 33 when I built my own cable TV system with some technical partners, some good Filipino engineers.
So you're already techie then?
Techie. I'm still called a techie now because at least I can go into the Facebook, I can browse.
You're
use,
not scared.
I can use Flipboard. Flipboard is beautiful.
Yeah.
You like Flipboard?
Like reading about, yeah.
I enjoy it because it's got all magazines. I like Harvard Business Review, which you can get through Flipboard, some articles on management and leadership. And of course, being an engineer, I enjoy being innovative. We have to be an innovative society. We feel that if Filipinos will just stick to the old norm, the society will not prosper. We need more students on STEM, they call it in other countries: science, technology, engineering, and math. So in my last year in the Senate in 2007, Ed Angara and I put out a resolution to have a committee, a commission on ComStech, on science, technology, engineering, and math. And this is the basis of a lot of more Philippine Science High Schools, more scholarships for young people who are oriented towards STEM. State universities usually give this, including agriculture, which is a scientific undertaking. You have to learn about the soil,
Yes.
you have to learn about the sun, you have to learn about nature, about water, about seeds. Agribusiness is basically so exciting that after my term in 2007, I went into dairy farming because I wanted to prove with some friends, no? Lima kami. I wanted to prove that corporate farming can earn money and at the same time pay the minimum wage law, cover them with the SSS, and give them some kind of basic safety net, economic safety net. And after 4 or 5 years, it seems to be working. At least we're breaking even now. We have about 60 employees in the farm. This is from the farm to the processing, to the distribution, to the retailing. We have about more or less 60 families getting involved.
But isn't it sad that Ed has only science doesn't come in really until science classes doesn't come until third grade.
I think
What do you think of that?
Brother Armin Luistro has been trying to make big efforts, undertake efforts to develop attraction. So we have the Museo Pambata of Nina Lim Yuson. I think there's a mine museum in the fort. I have not been there, but I understand that it's exciting. According to my granddaughter who's 15, Kasal Sobel yan. So I think Filipinos should read more, especially any kind of reading. Basically, if they can read science fiction, it will be good. If they can read technical journals, it will be even better. I think Filipinos, of course, there's always that maybe upper one third that are science and math oriented. But Filipinos usually they shy away from math and science. But even young women now, they're embracing it. They cannot escape it. When they go to their iPad, their iPhone, their laptop, when they go to watch movies, these are all science. The animation, no? The graphics. So it's a matter of attitude. It's important that Filipinos learn how to read history, read novels, and it develops the mind. But I think more Filipinos are just watching TV and becoming more inured to. I have nothing against TV. We have cable TV systems and broadband, no internet. But time allocation for reading is important. It's so convenient with the laptop or the iPad or the Android for others like Samsung.
But the problem is the public school. I mean, they don't have the same sense as.
That's an issue.
I mean, can you, if you're a senator, can you help push for education, science at least?
Well, I mean,
In the
when
public
I was
school.
Chairman of the Committee on Science and Technology in the Senate, we pushed for more regional science high schools. So you have now at least 15, and other local governments have adopted science high schools based on the standards of the original, no? The one in Diliman. I don't know how the teachers are coping, but it seems it's working well because Philippine Science High School in Muntinlupa seems to be getting a lot of good grade school students, public, and getting the top 10% and putting them in their own municipal science high school, Muntinlupa. So I'm sure others. LaSalle, which I am a trustee, the LaSalle Philippines, with 17 schools all over the place. We set aside scholarships particularly for science-oriented young people. The De La Salle Calamba is one of those campuses of LaSalle that's trying to become a science center, and they've been getting 10% top from public schools all over the place in Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, to become scholars for high school and college. So they're getting the cream of the crop of the grade school and giving them good values and of course dogma, the Catholic dogma, religion.
As a mother, I know that the curiosity has to start when they're young.
Yes.
That's why I really think that the education should be brought back so early. Education, just play, even play that will lead to critical thinking or looking at science that way. So I just hope that you could also do something and connect them.
Well,
knowing that you're into science.
I strongly agree, Noemi, that the first 7 years of a child's life is that is the most absorption of how the parents and maybe the brother or sister will inculcate the basics. Tell me why. I mean, I used to give that book to my son and daughter. I would read for them when they were 3, 4. Tell me why. Tell me how.
Kasi sir, parang students reacted negatively kasi yung reason po nila ay medyo mahirap daw yung science, so sa 3rd grade na siya ipapasok. So parang ang reactions po, so kung kunyari yung math mahirap din, i-remove din po siya sa first 2 years ng elementary. So kung lahat po ba ng mahirap, i-remove nila sa first 2 years,
they become
2 grades, medyo magiging lax. Parang yun sa students, di ba po dapat mas mahirap, mas ituturo po sa bata, hindi po siya sa yun na po yun.
Parang naging underperforming sila, no? Kasi inalis yung mahirap. Sa grade 3 na lang.
Sa grade 3.
I think that is not right. I don't know if that's still the practice. I have to check. With,
bago po kasi parang bago
basic
lang po
education,
siya sa 3rd grade na lang po siya.
Ano
yung
ba?
science.
Sinong nagawa niyan?
Actually po, yun din po yung isa po naming concern na pag kunyari po may mga ganyan, parang idadaan pa po ba siya sa botohan or diretso na po siya?
It is
Kunyari
policy.
po sa DepEd.
If it's public, it's policy. But I know that in private schools, they really stress STEM. Pero let me check with my dear friend, Brother Armin Bistro. Kasi I think one issue there, Jen, is we are losing our math and science teachers. A lot of them are being recruited by the US and even China. Provided they know English. That's another one. Sa STEM, English yun eh. It can be English and engineering. Pero wala English kasi engineering eh. Math and science naman ang engineering. So, STEM is really science, technology, English, and math. Like from STEM. But I think that's not right. Now 3 years you're not exposed to math and science. Basic lang sa amin sila sa mga after the war. We had to add a lot.
Sa
Grade 1.
Sa grade 1 and grade 2 parang more on nag-experiment yung mga bata. Wonders of nature. So mas maganda po sana na sa first 2 grades. Nandun na po yun. So as a mother din po kasi ako, parang nag-react po ako negatively sa kasi yun po yung concern ko na kung kunyari DepEd ano na siya, parang i-apply na po ba siya agad or wala man lang parang mula sa consultation mula sa parents.
I'd like to look at that. Pero I'd like to check it out. No?
Kasi po parang pinakita rin po din yung parang goal ng DepEd na more on English po yung target nila. So parang iniisip ba nila as ang Philippines as call center country? Yung ganun.
Pero ang alam ko sa basic education bid under DepEd, yung math, science, and English are emphasized prioritize math, science, and English. Baka may mga ibang lugar na talagang mababa masyado, wala pang nursery school at saka kindergarten. They're trying to put in for grade 1 what should also have to be earlier on. Ang daycare yata 4 years old, no? Tapos kindergarten 5, no? And 6 or 7 grade 1 na. So sa tingin ko private schools are stressing math, science, and English. Now sa public, baka kulang ang teachers. So it's really teacher quality. That is so basic, math, science, English. Technology can come later.
Yes.
I'll turn to Rosh for the next question.
Rosh, yes, dear.
What is your stand about divorce in the Philippines?
After the RH law, I think we have to rest on the issue of divorce. What I would work on would be to improve the family code on civil annulment. Right now, civil annulment is basically divorce. No? Civil annulment is so expensive and tedious. It's almost as difficult as canonical annulment. To me, the most important is to simplify and to add more reasons for the civil annulment other than psychological incapacity, because that's like a catch-all. But it can be, after years of trying, the couple feel that there is more than psychological incompatibility. There could be some violence on either person's part, usually women or even children. There are cases of child battering or wife battering, very seldom on husband battering. Pero it happens sometimes.
Yeah, they always complain.
The husband may be psychologically battered. Like the wife nags about having a better house. But these are things that can be arranged. But sometimes emotions come in. But going back to the civil annulment, what can be done is to lessen the cost and to broaden the reasonable basis of civil annulment. So lawyers can be accessed, even private lawyers, and the government will set aside funds to allocate, let's say 50 million a year. The case for a private lawyer will be like 20,000. But important that the family code, the judge will be also looking at urgency, not 1 year, but maybe 6 months or even 3 months. So there must be some kind of simplicity and less difficulty on civil annulment. Then you don't have to think about divorce, because putting a divorce is just saying that, hey, it's so easy. You just go to Las Vegas and you're divorced, like the American style. But to the Filipino, kawawa naman yung babae at saka yung mga anak. No? What if you get married to a palikero and then he goes from one woman to another? What about his responsibility and accountability? It's gone, because the fellow is just not responsible. He's footloose and fancy free. Yeah.
My next question is, what are your plans for the senior citizens?
For the senior citizens, I think there should be more seniors to be harnessed in social economic development. As an example, you have the armed forces of the Philippines that retire officers and men at 56. I went to the Senate when I was 56. Yeah, the first term, 1995.
First
Yeah.
senatorial term?
Yes, I was 56 already.
I'm 55.
And
Very fast.
at 56, we don't want the soldiers and officers who were trained by the government to be leaders. Officers are leaders, no? Whether they're general, colonel, major, captain, or sergeants, these are leaders. So they should be harnessed to orient the young people and to guide them into productive endeavors. So I'd like the seniors to say, we have 5 years of life that we would like to give back for national development, to train our young people to become good planters, good farmers, or even good public works laborers, to reforest, to plant this, to develop land. It's like national development, and they can be given a basic allowance over and above their retirement pay. Mahal lang ang retirement pension ng mga sundalo eh. I think the sergeant who becomes retired gets at least 20,000 a month. So if you give him another 5 or 7,000, he'd be very happy to do things to guide the children or the youth. I mean, not children, but youth, those below 18 or below 40. Youth yata tayo ngayon United Nations 35, at Philippines 40 daw, youthful pa.
But this is only for soldiers.
Well, even retired government employees and private sector. Let's say I'm a chemical engineer or I'm a civil engineer and I'm 56. Actually, private sector, they don't retire. Like kami, like when I went into dairy farming, I was 68 na. So, I enjoy it. Hindi naman ikaw mismo magagatas o mag-aayos eh. You just guide farmer boys and girls to help out, and they get paid. You're just, it's the mind, it's the concept of management, it's the concept of research. I didn't know anything about milk. I just used to drink a lot of milk because after the Second World War, I was so thin. We were so thin, my 2 sisters and I. My father and mother said, you have to gain weight. So I had to drink milk twice a day. Bear brand.
That time, payat natin.
Papayat namin yung araw eh. Hindi, post-war ka naman eh.
Hindi payat ako.
So, it's like in the US and Europe and even India, milk is such a basic thing that you've heard of the sacred cow. They don't kill cows there because as long as they're milking, they protect them because they're the source of health and life. So, dairy farming to me is such a wonderful thing. I mean, I'm even propagating it among friends. I will help you. We have gone through all the ups and downs. We have made a lot of mistakes, but now we are here. And if you want us to help you, just put yourselves together and I help you. And we're processing good milk, fresh milk, from other independent farmers in Laguna and Batangas. And we pay them good price.
I guess my question is, how are you going to do that? I mean,
The seniors?
Yeah.
I'm going back to the seniors. Well, it's orientation. No? If I'm looking at a program of the first Bush, George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, not W. And he put together an advocacy called SCORE, Senior Corps of Retired Executives, SCORE. Mahilig sa stage yung mga acronyms eh. And this is to allow retired executives, even former officers or former bank executives or even former engineers or accountants, basta mga professionals, to be able to put themselves together and address a certain issue. Like, to me, an issue is replanting coconuts. It's as basic as that. Because when I was chairman with former Senator Bobby Tanyada of the Oil Mills Group. This was 2011, August. I found out that half of our 35 million coconut trees are senile, meaning they're over the maximum age of bearing fruits, no? Mga buko. So the only thing is to replant. But farmers are not replanting. Why? They're not earning enough. And what they do is to cut down the old trees and sell them as lumber. No? It's all right. But there must be a law or a policy to say, all right, you may cut down if it's senile. The local government will identify which are senile or not. But you have to replant, let's say 5. Di mas marami. Because now, the coconut, which we have been calling the tree of life, is the most wonderful health liquid, coconut water. It's even beating Gatorade in the States now because it's natural, it's got a very high pH, and it's clean. So even Pepsi Cola put up a plant here. I think it's in Legazpi. And they're selling coconut water to the States. So a senior group can say, all right, we're going to helping young people going to coconut farming and we will help them earn money. It's guidance, no? Guidance through experience and history. I get excited when I go into these things because we had been always trained in Lasal and later on after by Senator Raul Manglapos to put ourselves together. And we put together work AU with the people right out of College of Engineering from Manuel Quezon Jr. We put together a group of Ateneo, Lasal, UP, young people, no? To persuade the young doctors and nurses to go to the rural areas that were underserved. Walang masyadong doktor, no? And we paid for their allowance. But I think we're paying them 2,500 a month, but this was 50 years ago. So we had that advocacy, work a year with the people. Then we had another advocacy, UNICEF, National Youth Committee and for UNICEF. UNICEF is a United Nations Children Fund. Is to make children healthier and more educated. So what did we do? Again, this is under Raul Manglapos and Onong Quezon. We teamed up with UNICEF and we're giving out powdered milk in Bulacan and other nearby provinces. Kasi kami mga Manila kami lahat. So we go there and have a milk feeding program. And we got some nutritionists to mix the milk to make it palatable, sugar, you know. But we noticed that a lot of young Filipinos are milk intolerant. Tawag doon, lactose intolerant. So we had to stop because economists wrote about us that we are making children sick through the milk. But those were advocacies headed by Senator Raul Manglapos, who was quite a visionary during his time, no? So we enjoy startups.
So
Young people can be guided by the old. When the old can guide them, go towards that strategic thinking. So whether it's coconut, whether it's bananas, whether it's milk, whether it's arable soil, it's all technology and history. So,
and then my next question is not related but a bit related. Okay. Anyway, what can you say about people who are concerned about your age? I think some
concerned
people,
about my age?
yeah, some people would want to vote for you.
Yeah, but
they
people say matanda na yan.
matanda na.
It's
What
true.
can you say
I
about that?
embrace my age. I've been around for 74 years, no? But I will be the first one to withdraw if I get sick. That's what I told the president. And I'm not sick. I just got an ankle sprain 2 weeks ago in Bacolod because my foot got caught in a cable, no? It was just lying there when I was called. But my mind is good, my heart is strong. Maybe my ankle now is a little weak, but people don't know that 47% of the U.S. senators are over 70 years old. I told that to Karen Davila last Friday. No? Sabi ko, people in the US and China, they respect old age because it usually comes with good wisdom and experience. We know what had happened. We know what had happened badly or in good times and bad times.
Yeah, wisdom.
And this is why we may be able to guide the younger people who have so much energy into the right path, so they have less risks, lessen the risk. No? So Enrique's 88, I'm 74. Joker Arroyo's
How about
I
Magsaysay?
think 82, Maceta 77. So I'm just a bit younger than Maceta. Erap is 76, I think. So he's a year younger, older than me. But it's not just the old is the age is sage. So if I make it, I will put my effort and experience and network to helping the younger generation. Because how many of the younger generation will think about milk? It's such a basic thing. But they don't know that one of the biggest exports of the US and Europe are milk products. Cheese,
And there's
ice
so much
cream,
agricultural land.
so many kinds of things from agriculture.
Okay.
So they should look at me as a father, not so much as a grandfather. If they're 35 to 45, I can be a father. But if they're 20 or lower, grandfather.
You know-
Because my grandsons are 20 going down to 15. 20, 19, 18, 16, 15. 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. So yung mga 20 and down, they can call me Lolo. But siguro mga 25 and up, Tito na lang.
In the internet, we're all young at heart.
We're young.
Yeah, so I'm sure you said earlier that you will introduce something new. There's a question related. Would you consider sponsoring a bill to control commercialization of agricultural lands?
Commercialization?
Yeah.
I think, when you mean buy and sell,
Yeah?
it's very hard to
Maybe industrial.
we have to look beyond land reform because the law is already winding down
That's
in
true.
2014, did you?
Malapit na.
And we have to look at scale, because we are now a 100 million population, basically. When land reform was crafted together during the time of Presidents Quezon, Rojas, Quirino, Magsaysay, we were looking at not even 17 million Filipinos, not even 20 million when my father was president in 1953. No? So now we're 100 million. So how do we feed? How do we feed the Philippines? Do we just import from China and Vietnam? We have to be self-sufficient. But with land reform, we have become atomized. Because farming must be large scale. Pero yung land reform, initially magandang land reform. My father was giving 25 hectares to 50 hectares to his family in Mindanao during the 1950s. Not giving, but government land given to former communist rebels, retired soldiers. Binigyan sa Mindanao and Palawan and Iloilo. Government land, especially friar lands. San Hacienda Visita was a land of tabacalera. It was converted to become land reform. Delay land during the Coconut time for 10 years. But we have to look at land being set aside by government. Will not be sold. It will not be commercial. It will not be sold. But it will be leased for at least 75 years. 50, 25. Better 99 years. Why? That's why Malaysia, Indonesia, they adopted the British policy. We don't sell land, but we can lease. Now, if it is residential, okay, pwede. Commercial, siguro pwede. Pero if it's arable soil, it's good soil for farming, it should be preserved and leased to a big group that can do modern scale, highly technological farming para more yield. Yeah.
Anyway, you'll be next. Ask the question. Jem, ayan.
So, pinoayos mo, Jojo. Sa tingin ko ito, selecta.
Sir, si Sir Paco po.
Carmen's best.
Wow.
Carmen is my granddaughter. Papa's daughter.
I've
We
never
named
met
this.
Paco.
This comes from our farm. The cream and the cheese are fresh.
Okay, before you ask a question, there's a follow-up to what we
Oh.
just asked. Now that he's on a lease of land, how does he see the Sabah situation? That's the question. About the lease.
Well, it's gotten to be a bit more complex because a lot of people have died, Filipinos and Malaysians. So it's good that our president is has already put together his team, and they're addressing this very aggressively. Get all the facts together. So there are many inputs. But the good relationship between the two countries must be preserved. The government of Malaysia and the government of the Philippines. Eventually, as soon as possible, actually, the two leaders must talk to each other with their own background. I will follow the dictum of defining what is ownership and what is territorial sovereignty. It could be that the Sultan of Sulu, Hiram family, is looking at ownership, and the territorial integrity and sovereignty is what it is all about. So these two have to be defined further.
There's a follow-up to that. How will you convince families of affected Filipinos in Sabah to vote for you amid President's mishandling? There's a conception that the President mishandled Sabah crisis.
I don't think the President mishandled Sabah. This is an incursion which was initiated by the Sultan with some of his supporters or admirers. It could be that it is a way to provoke political changes. There are two elections coming up. The May 13 here in the Philippines and early June in Malaysia. So up to now we don't know whether this initiative by the Sultan is related to either or both. So why now? Why now? It's been there for a long time. Why such an aggressive entering into another territory? We can understand the Sultan's followers, but what made them become aggressive and armed and entering into another territory? So whoever tweeted this question must be trying to elicit something which might have some political repercussions. But to me, the government had no inkling that this would happen. because this is privately initiated, and it just happened maybe sending 10 or 10, 15 people every time. It was not just done quickly. It was premeditated, but with armed individuals.
So that means you are there. You believe there is conspiracy behind this crisis? That's
Highly
the next
probably,
question.
I believe, highly probably.
Because the reason the Twitter for JC Maninga is asking that, because I have seen some comments on Twitter that the president mishandled this. So
He's
in case
not privy. He's not privy, and this was done maybe a few months earlier, and suddenly you have an armed group of Filipinos who have suddenly become assertive and insisting that they own that piece of land. Finish na your Benedict, the stage Benedict. Kayo naman.
Okay, kayo naman.
Sir, since you promote advocacy on agriculture, how will you resolve anomalies in fertilizer fund if you ever will win the election?
That's very good. That's very good. I will always look at the real farmers. I want less government intrusion into the allocation of funds. I would like the government, the DA in particular, set aside fund, but to be handled by the private sector. Meaning, if there are real farmers, let's say avocado he has found out that is a good export, high value product going to Hong Kong, Shanghai, Japan, Taiwan. He wants to develop avocado farm in San Pablo City. He needs 50 hectares. So the government say, all right, you have a market, I will help you. So that fund will address part of his capital needs. If he needs 10 million pesos, the fund will say, okay, I believe in your research, I believe in your market research, I believe in your expertise, you have a good management team, a good horticulturist, a good agronomist, a good farm management. You need 10 million, I'll put in 5 million. So it makes it easier for the private agribusinessman to be able to scale up. And within 5 years, the avocados are growing, it's the right species, the right seeds. So he becomes an exporter and he has a lot of businesses.
Can I request you to make it louder?
Louder?
Yeah, because para
Dito ba? Lapit natin.
No, hindi makita ang face.
Hindi makita.
So just have to throw your voice.
Okay.
Just to be sure lang.
Sige.
I'm monitoring the sound. So,
Alright, so to me, what I'm looking at is basically an overall so-called sovereign wealth fund. SWF. The sovereign wealth fund is to be patterned after that of Singapore Temasek. They can Google Temasek, Temasek.
I saw that.
That is the model of the sovereign wealth fund, which is now being undertaken by countries like China and India and even Norway. In other countries, they call it Fund for Creative Enterprise, FCE. The Western countries have that. This is to speed up the startups, whether it's technology, IT, whether it's food, whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's wellness, or other businesses. So the Sovereign Wealth Fund is the basis of a lot of initiatives also to improve environment and social, medical, economic concerns to address. So Temasek, if you will research, has been growing at the rate of at least 17% a year. That means it is being well handled by the professionals. These are bankers, venture capitalists, professors, former government and private executives, and they put themselves together for country because it's a taxpayers' money. That's why it's called sovereign wealth. It is the taxpayers' money. You're setting aside part of the taxpayers' money to fund more deserving, educated, aggressive, ambitious, creative, innovative individuals. And it should have the least government interference. Government can be part of the fund board, but they should be in the minority. And this will lessen the essence of a bloated bureaucracy. Because in government now, if you look at our budget, the budget for the national government is about 2 trillion pesos. 2.067 trillion pesos. 75% are payroll. Payroll, sweldo ng mga tao.
Yeah.
75%. Tama ba yun, Jojo? 20%.
Hindi ko memorize.
20% are MOOE, meaning maintenance and other operating expenses, MOE. And 5% is capital outlay. That's for computers, desks, chairs. So if we can, as the economy grows, the budget grows. But it would be nice if the government, for at least the incremental increase of income, set aside 5% a year, even 3%, and set this aside for a sovereign wealth fund, which I don't have to explain because it's just going to Temasek and that's it. So this fund will fund even scholarships of scientists. If you are a graduate of civil engineering or mechatronics engineering, as in Lasal.
You're a graduate from Lasal.
Lasal, mechanical, yeah, a long time ago, 61. You can take up your masteral and the scholarship can make you into a good engineer, mastering in robotics, let's say. So it's so exciting, but the government is fixated into a bureaucracy. Too many rules and regulations.
Sorry, one last question.
Can I take a break?
Okay.
Marami na kayo inom.
Sige
Sabay
lang.
yung voice room. Break na tayo, Ihasa.